Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, let's get on with this then. There were a lot of weird transfers this summer. Across the planet, there were loads. So let's go all the way back to July 12th and see every day's weirdest transfer since then. Right, let's go. July 12th, Matt Ryan to Real Sociedad. Matt Ryan is an Australian goalie who's going to end his career having played for at least 2 different clubs in La Liga. It's just a bit weird. This guy wasn't even good enough for Brighton last season, losing his place to a former Rochdale goalie, but was deemed fit enough to keep goal for Arsenal. And now he's at Real Sociedad in the same team as David Silva. It's just a bit mad. 13th, Javi Martinez to Qatar SC. This is the least talked about transfer of the summer. Javi Martinez, remember him? That 32-year-old Spanish midfielder with nearly 300 games under his belt for Bayern Munich? Yeah, it seems like nobody's really cared that he's just chucked his career ambitions in a bin, moving to Qatar SC. He's only 33 years of age. 14th, Calvin Stengs to Nice. Did anyone really see promising 22-year-old Dutch winger Calvin Stengs swapping AZ Alkmaar for Nice? I thought this guy had Premier League football written all over his face. 15th, Ryan Bertrand to Leicester. Ryan Bertrand is a good left back, but I didn't see him leaving Southampton after 8 years. And I definitely didn't see him agreeing to play backup fiddle at Leicester, spending every training session getting laughed at for losing 9-0. Good guys, after seeing both Jamie Vardy and Ayotte Perez leave his stadium with hat-tricks in 2019, how could he dare to show his face again? 16th, Felipe Anderson to Lazio. West Ham bought Felipe Anderson from Lazio for £36 million in 2018. Our Brazilian playmaker linked with Manchester United and Real Madrid. 3 years later, and David Moyes has now sent him back to Lazio for £3 million. This has to be seen as one of the biggest financial messes ever seen in British football. I mean, when the owners remember how much they actually paid for this guy 3 years ago, they'll probably be getting ready to steam grill their face on a barbecue. 17th, Alireza Jahanbash to Feyenoord. Alireza Jahanbash didn't play much at Brighton, but he did look like he did have the capability to succeed in England if given a chance. Does nobody remember his bicycle kick against Chelsea? Graham Potter taking a club record £80 million, signing it and allowing him to move back to the Eredivisie for just 3.8 million quid? So very hipster. 18th, Kevin Gamiro to Strasbourg. Kevin Gamiro was the reason that Diego Jota wasn't given a chance at Atletico Madrid. 5 years ago, football hipsters were tossing themselves off in a popcorn bowl to the thought of this guy's stats at Sevilla. Well, at 34, he's finally left La Liga, leaving Valencia for lowly Strasbourg in France. 19th, Christian Atsu to Al Rayed. This is just sad. Here we've got 29-year-old Christian Atsu. Remember when he was marketed as a former Porto and Chelsea wonder kid? Well, this fella, a winger capped 65 times by Ghana, has just left Newcastle after scoring 3 goals in 4 years, moving to Al Rayed FC in Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, but how does anyone in Saudi Arabia even know who Atsu is? He doesn't exactly stand out on Match of the Day, unless you're exclusively scouting for wingers with the footballing brain of a dead pigeon, but that's it. 20th, Justin Kluivert to Nice. Okay, I know Justin Kluivert's career has gone off the rails ever since joining Roma in 2018. I don't care. He was an Ajax wonder kid, and Jose Mourinho was sniffing around him as if his hair was made of pizza. Mourinho wanted Kluivert from Manchester United. Surely he'd think, now he has a chance to mould this 22-year-old talent. I mean, no wonder his career was stagnating under Claudio Ranieri. I mean, he's a lovely guy, but he can't hold down a job for longer than 3 minutes. But no, Mourinho seems to accept it that this guy is just a Dutch Tom Ince, living off his daddy's name and just loan him out to Nice. Again, a bit weird. 21st, David Alaba to Real Madrid. I suppose this wasn't too weird, but I didn't see it coming. Yes, David Alaba, of course, is Real Madrid's standard, but this is a 29-year-old man who's been at Bayern Munich since 2008. I'd have assumed like Philipp Lahm or Bastian Schweinsteiger, he'd be at the club until his mid-30s at least. But no, freebie transfer to Madrid. Did not see it coming at all. 22nd, Bernard to Sharjah FC. Bernard is 28. I'm sorry, but what a Shakhtar Donetsk. He was the perfect replacement for Willian, lighting up the Ukrainian league, establishing himself as one of the most exciting players outside the top 5 European leagues. But still, at 28, yes, he mostly had the end product of a wet chunk of ice cream while at Everton, but still, a move to Sharjah FC in Dubai? So what, drink wine out of a toilet and ride a camel to work? Again, it's just a waste of talent. 23rd, Paulinho to Al Ahly. We've established that Paulinho loves money, but when he returned from his 2-year spell eating cash out of a shoe in China, accepting the challenge of Barcelona, where he actually looked like a half-decent midfielder as they won the Liga, I mean, fair enough, he went back to Guangzhou Evergrande to spend another couple of years fattening his bank balance, but at 33, you might have thought he'd now want to quit China for another crack at Europe. Nah, instead it's more cash hunting with Al Ahly in some Saudi Arabian desert. You'd have thought playing with Messi might have tweaked his ambitions a bit, but no, clearly he's got the sporting integrity of a dead goldfish. 24th, Pierluigi Gallini to Tottenham. Tottenham. This is one of the weirdest goalkeeping signings I've ever seen in my life. Pierluigi Golini was Atalanta's undisputed #1 and was ready for Champions League football this season and an outside crack at a title challenge in Serie A, right? Now, instead he's returned to England to take Joe Hart's place on Tottenham's bench. I'm sorry, the guy is 26. He should be hoping that Keylor Navas keeps Gianluigi Donnarumma out of the PSG team, because maybe then Roberto Mancini might give him the Italy #1 gloves, right? And also, he's already been at 2 English clubs, Manchester United and Aston Villa, and I think he'll tell you that he hated every single minute of both spells. So this, returning to England to sit on a bench again? Why? 25th, Elias Solberg to Juventus. Who? 26th, Eric Lamela to Sevilla. 40 years, Eric Lamela looked like a Tottenham flop. He was bought from Roma as a direct replacement for Gareth Bale. I mean, he just scored 15 goals in a single season in Serie A. 8 years later, and he scored 17 Premier League goals for Spurs. Not great. How he's managed to last nearly a decade at the club is incredible. But yeah, he moved to Sevilla in a swap deal with Brian Gill, which is a bit weird because I didn't think he'd ever leave. 27, Toby Alderweireld to Al Hilal. Alright, Toby Alderweireld, he's been linked with a move away from Tottenham for years. But it was always to Manchester United. 3 months ago, Jamie Vardy was almost jumping down Roy Keane's throat to let him know that the Belgian would definitely walk headfirst into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first team. Well, Jamie, if that's true, then why at the age of 32 is he just tied up a £13 million move to Al Hilal in Qatar? Try and tell Manchester United fans they'd be a better fit than Rafa Varane, and they'd almost certainly ring the police. And rightly so. 28th, Patrick Van Aanholt to Galatasaray. Patrick Van Aanholt is a man who has lived and breathed English mediocrity forever. Ever since joining Chelsea in 2007, he's played for Coventry, Newcastle, Leicester, Wigan, Sunderland and Crystal Palace. I mean, he played for Sam Allardyce twice. This guy was your typical bang average, scraping the bottom of the barrel, relegation fodder. So a move to a European giant like Galatasaray at 30, fair play, I guess. Although, failing to beat St. Johnstone at home on your debut, not the best start. Put in any more of those scrambled egg performances, and the Turkish ultras will probably set fire to your car. 29th, Alphonso Areola to West Ham. You'd think Alphonso Areola would want to play football. He's a 28-year-old goalkeeper who 3 years ago was PSG's #1. Yes, relegation alone at Fulham last season would have smacked his reputation in the face with a wooden spoon, but only 2 seasons ago, he was on the books of Madrid. Moving to West Ham to spend his peak years watching a nearly 40-year-old Lucas Fabianski from the comfort of the bench? That's no life to live. 30th, Ben White to Arsenal. I have no problem with Ben White signing for Arsenal. He's a good player, but 50 million? 50 million pounds for a guy who last season was being outshunned by Lewis Dunk. 50 million pounds for Shane Duffy's replacement. 50 million for a former Peterborough centre half who Ivan Toney made to look like a walking lump of shepherd's pie? What? 31st, Stephen Corker to Fenerbahce. Stephen Corker went from having his career stuffed down a toilet bowl at Dundee to now competing in the same Fenerbahce starting 11 as Mesut Ozil. Nobody's talking about what an incredible career revival that actually is. Jack Wilshere, instead of doing weepy interviews with The Athletic, you should be taking tips from this man. August 1st, Marko Arnautovic to Bologna. Yeah, remember when Marko Arnautovic said he wanted to leave West Ham to win trophies? Yeah, well, not even a flicker of a medal out in China, and now he's back in Europe. 2 summers ago, this guy was being linked with a £50 million move to Old Trafford, being hailed as the next Eric Cantona. Now he's 32, just missed a game at Euro 2020 due to your mother jokes, and now plays for Bologna alongside Aaron Hickey and Lewis Binks. Christ above. 2nd, Tino Livramento to Southampton. Yeah, Southampton just signed Tino Livramento, an 18-year-old English right back plucked straight out of Chelsea's academy, and throwing him headfirst into the Premier League starting 11 to play for a team who've lost 9-0 2 seasons running. Bit of a risk. 3rd, Joe Hart to Celtic. This should be a good move for Joe Hart. I mean, it's weird. This guy has not been undisputed first choice goalie for anyone since he moved to Italy with Torino in 2016. Tell the guy back before Euro 2016 that within 5 years he'd be competing against Motherwell and St Mirren in the Scottish Premier League. Oh, he'd probably drink a pint of glue. 4th, Danny Ings to Aston Villa. This was one of those rare transfers that had 0 press attention. I remember reading this story in the toilet. Danny Ings has signed for Aston Villa. No rumour, nothing. That's how transfers should be done. Good grace, he had spent the summer being linked with both Manchester clubs. Nuno Espirito Santo apparently wanted him for Tottenham, so Villa, to join a club where they already had Ollie Watkins up front, brilliant signing, but an absolute shock. This was a twist ending. Nobody, not even the Villa fans thought they were going to sign him. They didn't even think they needed him. It's just like playing a game of Cluedo and finding out that it was the cat who did it. Just a complete shock. 5th, Jack Grealish to Man City. I've repeated this until my lungs have turned blue, so I won't go on about this. All I'll say is this: £100 million. £100 million for a guy with less England caps than Tom Cleverley. What? 6th, Mary Demirel's Atalanta. This is just Christian Romero part 2. Juventus loaning out another quality centre back to Atalanta. Why? They're a genuine title threat. Makes no sense. You gave them Christian Romero and then finished below Atalanta in the table. You'd think they'd learn. 7th, Yoshinori Muto to Vissel Kobe. Newcastle paid £9.5 million for Japanese striker Yoshinori Muto in 2018. He was one of the most expensive buys in Mike Ashley's tenure. And he's finally been sold at 29. His European adventure is over, being dumped back to Japan with Vissel Kobe. So let me get this straight. This is a fridge magnet of a centre forward who couldn't get into a team with John Joe Shelby and yet now has somehow fluked himself into a dressing room with Andres Iniesta. What? 8th, Axel Tuanzebe to Aston Villa. Yeah, this is Axel Tuanzebe's 3rd loan spell at Villa Park, but at 23, this Manchester United centre-half needs guaranteed first-team football. Is that really guaranteed at Villa Park? 9th, Adama Diamande to Al Sahel. This isn't really that weird, just nothing else happened that day. Former Hull City flop centre forward Adamanda Diamande leaving Guangzhou Mighty Lions in China for Al Salia in Qatar. Again, despite having the first touch of a dead donkey, he's going to be one of the richest sportsmen on planet Earth. Ridiculous. 10th, Adam Armstrong to Southampton. Selling Danny Ings, a clinical Premier League proven striker, a goal machine, and replacing with Adam Armstrong from Blackburn, a championship striker who's got Jordan Rhodes Part 2 stamped on his forehead. That's a signing that's going to get you relegated. 11th, Lionel Messi to PSG. I've already done a whole video on this. Nothing more needs to be said. 12th, Romelu Lukaku to Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, this is a brilliant signing for Chelsea, but don't forget, they sold him in 2014 and failed to buy him back in 2017. And he reiterated, even when Antonio Conte walked out of Inter Milan earlier this summer, when the Inter Milan ship looked like it was crumbling like a gingerbread house made of milk. Even then, Lukaku said he wanted to stay. So I thought Lukaku's return to Stamford Bridge was dead in the water, but here he is, about to win the league for Chelsea. 13th, Yannick Vestergaard to Leicester. If you told someone back in October 2019, when Yannick Vestergaard looked and played like a drugged up Pennywise the Clown, falling over his own feet in a 9-0 battering at home to Leicester, tell someone, anyone, that within 2 years, Brendan Rodgers would be signing him? I'm sorry, what? I mean, to be fair, he was bought as an emergency replacement for Wesley Fofana. But I'm sorry, did anyone think this guy's performances were worthy enough to get him a top 6 move? No. 14th, Edin Dzeko to Inter Milan. Edin Dzeko was once a great centre forward, but replacing a fit and firing Romelu Lukaku for a target man who turns 36 in March, it's almost as if the Inter Milan owners don't want to win the league again. Replacing Lukaku with Dzeko, don't make me sick in a bucket. 15th, Ludwig Augustinsson to Sevilla. Yeah, here's Swedish left back Ludwig Augustinsson swapping Werder Bremen for Sevilla. It's not really that weird, but nothing else happened on the 15th. 16th, Ben Davies to Sheffield United. I'm just surprised anyone at Liverpool even remembers who Ben Davies is. He's 26, never played for the club, and just been loaned to Sheffield United. Oh yes, because dumping your rejects at Bramall Lane worked so well for Ryan Brewster. 17th, Tammy Abraham to Roma. This is a smart move for Tammy Abraham. Movie Diddley can rejuvenate your career. I mean, look at Chris Smalling and Romelu Lukaku. And again, did anyone at the start of the year think that Chelsea's first choice striker under Frank Lampard and Tottenham's manager would soon be teaming up together in Italy? No. 18th, Michy Batshuayi to Besiktas. Chelsea have known since 2017 that Michy Batshuayi does not belong at the club. But again, instead of trying to get some of that £30 million they paid for him back, they've sent him out on a 6th loan to Besiktas. And the worst thing is, they've extended his contract to 2023 and loaned him out again. What? 19th, Pedro de Lazio. I'm convinced Pedro must have a Happy Meal milkshake for a brain. Because I'm sorry, choosing to swap Roma for Lazio, at the age of 34, you'd think he'd want a nice and peaceful family life. No, now he's probably gonna have to hire 24-hour security to watch his home. I mean, he won't be able to drive to work without angry Romanistas trying to puncture the wheels of his car. I'm really so sorry. You're allowing this to happen. You're encouraging this. He's gonna spend the next year to check the back seat of his car as if he's living in some Godfather movie. I'm sorry, unless you're offering to spend every night sleeping at the foot of Pedro's bed with a baseball bat, then I'm sorry, you're just feeding this guy to the wolves. 20th, Aaron Ramsdale to Arsenal. Aaron Ramsdale has been relegated in each of his last 2 Premier League seasons, conceding close to 100 goals. Arsenal got rid of a future Copa America winning goalkeeper last summer, a guy immortalised in a photograph with Messi, and replacing him with Aaron Ramsdale, a guy with wrists made of wet spaghetti. It makes no sense. 21st, Alessandro Florenzi to AC Milan. Yeah, there we've got 30-year-old Italian wing-back Alessandro Florenzi, who's been chucked out on his 3rd successive loan spell away from Roma. First it was Valencia, then PSG, now from AC Milan. Clearly every Roma manager, including Jose Mourinho, thinks he's about as much use as a candle made of cheese. So why another loan? Why another temporary loan? Just sell the guy. You keep loaning him out to better teams. Does that not tell you he might actually be good? 23rd, Ben Woodburn to Hearts. Wasn't Ben Woodburn supposed to be a Liverpool wonder kid? And he turns 22 next month and just being binned off on loan to Hearts. Again, another loan. Why? 24th, David Zabacosta at Atalanta. To be fair, there's nothing weird about Atalanta signing David Zabacosta for £8 million. What is a bit strange is that he was still on Chelsea's books. I'm pretty sure everyone, including his mother, probably thought he was off that payroll. I mean, Chelsea paid over £30 million for this guy 4 years ago. He surely has to go down as one of the worst transfers of all time. 25th, Aaron Lennon to Burnley. Okay, I'm sorry. Burnley released Aaron Lennon last summer when he moved to Kayserispor in Turkey a year ago. I assume that was the last we'd ever seen of Aaron Lennon in the Premier League. When he returned to England, I'd have bet my left nipple that it was to a championship club. Maybe to someone like Bristol City. But no, for some reason, Sean Dyche, who last summer decided that Lennon was about as good as walking bag of hair, he's just re-signed him, and 15 minutes after his medical, chucked him headfirst into the starting lineup against Newcastle. Weird. 26, Thomas Delaney to Sevilla. Thomas Delaney's Borussia Dortmund career was officially ended by a child. It's weird, but for a couple of years there, the Danish midfielder was one of Dortmund's key players and linked with the Premier League. But ever since Jude Bellingham crushed his confidence into wet spaghetti, he's now been sold to Sevilla for just £7 million. Christ above. 27th, Matty Longstaff to Aberdeen. This is just sad. Remember when Matty Longstaff was battering in that wonder goal against Manchester United on his debut? The man was rumoured to be moving to Italy. Udinese were going to make him the highest paid player, putting this ginger pumpkin on a better contract than Rodrigo de Paul. Last summer, the Geordie fanbase were invading the internet, punching their keyboards, headbutting the screen, demanding he be offered a new deal. And now he's 22 and be loaned to Aberdeen? I guess he's just another Jack Cole back then. 28, Alvaro Adriozola to Fiorentina. Yeah, so we've got Madrid loaning Spain international right back Alvaro Adriozola to Fiorentina. Now he might reinvent himself out there like Marcos Alonso did, but really at the age of 25 and with Real Madrid's cash problems, why are you not just selling the man? 29th, Maxwell Cornet to Burnley. I'm sorry, but Maxwell Cornet is a 25-year-old Ivory Coast fullback who's just played over 200 games for Lyon, scored against Man City in the Champions League. He's pacey, flash and bags of skill. It just doesn't really seem like a Sean Dyche signing for Burnley. Replacing Robbie Brady with an extravagant purchase like this? I mean, how do you tempt a guy to leave sunny France and European football to go and live in a caravan in Burnley? 30th, Willian to Corinthians. Willian deserves a statue outside the Emirates Stadium. The guy had 2 years left on a £240,000 a week deal, and he just let Arsenal off the hook. This guy, who mostly strolled about Arsenal like a half-eaten sausage roll, he could have sat in his hands and collected £20.5 million over the next 2 years. But now he's ripped his contract in half, moving back to Brazil with Corinthians. What a legend. And every Arsenal fan owes this guy an apology. 31st, Luuk de Jong to Barcelona. So Barcelona have now taken to shoving as many de Jongs in their team as possible. You'd swear Alan Party was on the transfer committee. Out goes Antoine Griezmann, in comes Luuk de Jong. A 31-year-old Dutch sponge. A centre forward who has scored 10 goals in nearly 70 La Liga games for Sevilla. The man has already failed in the Bundesliga, the Premier League and the Liga. Sure, he can rip Eredivisie defences to shreds with his teeth. So what is he doing at Barcelona? Pathetic. September 1st, Jerome Boateng to Lyon. So Jerome Boateng has finally quit Bayern Munich after 10 years to wind up in France with Lyon on the free, playing on a team with Islam Shamani and Jordan Shaqiri. In defence, alongside another Man City centre-back flop like Jason Denier. Don't know, it seems a bit weird to me. Second, Radamel Falcao to Rayo Vallecano. Now this is just sad. I know he's 35 years of age, but a footballing beast like Radamel Falcao being tossed out of Galatasaray like a wet yogurt, even after 19 goals in 34 league games. He's now stuffed in a Liga relegation battle with Rayo Vallecano. This guy was one of the best strikers ever seen in Spanish football. He left Atletico Madrid with his chest puffed out like a lion. So now returning as a low on confidence three-legged meerkat, relying on service from Beppe. Christ above. Third, Miralem Pjanic to Besiktas. Well, it's just also sad. Jose Mourinho tried to bring Miralem Pjanic back to Roma from Barcelona this summer. That would have been a dignified move for this Bosnian midfield general. Not a low move to Besiktas, playing in a team with a Chinese Super League mercenary like Alex Teixeira and a Crystal Palace cowpat like Michy Batshuayi. Just poor. Anyway, that's it. Let me know, what do you think? What weird signings did I miss out? Let me know in the comment section below if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.